Hello, everyone. It's been a long time. That's entirely my fault. 5 months since the last video is unacceptable, especially since when I said this is going to be a process and I hope to take you guys through it. So I plan to at least make more content, at least more consistently. So that's my bad. I just wasn't 100% confident in being able to share the process with other people if they wanted to emulate it. But I guess this is defeating the purpose, which is just to show how I do it, maybe get some help, maybe it helps other people get started, because it is a scary thing to get into. I know I jumped kind of right into it, so I'm gonna be a little bit more consistent with the uploads and at least give you guys a little bit more something, maybe like a more fit testing on smaller pieces and then a total fit testing at the end of it. The armor is actually almost done. I'm very close to just fit testing the entire thing. I had several goals in mind with it, mainly being maneuverability, because I want to be able to goof around a lot. I don't want to be restricted when I'm walking around. So that was a lot of the focus. So hopefully you look forward to that. But in the future, I promise to at least make the updates a little bit more consistent. Meantime, I decided to give you guys at least something to look forward to at least let you know I'm not just over here doing nothing with my time. So I'm gonna talk about two of the props that I'm gonna be going along with my cosplay. Well, technically the person that's going to be cosplaying with me. So I'm going as Shadow Igris and my friend is going to be going as Sung Jin Woo immediately after acquiring Shadow Igris. So I'm going to be making the two daggers that he had immediately after his fight with Igris, which is the Night Killer Dagger and the Rasakas Venom Fang. Please don't kill me if I pronounce that wrong. To make this video a lot longer, a lot more detailed, it's gonna go over the start to finish, even the painting and how I got it smooth, and maybe some stuff I should have done better. But without further ado, let's jump right into it, which is immediately after printing. If you want to know how to print certain things on a 3D printer, I am definitely not the guy for that. There's stuff I still need to learn, so I would probably direct you to other YouTubers like Frankly Build or Volt Fox or Kamui Cosplay, because that's where I learned to do my stuff at. So I would say go there if you don't know how to print it, but I'm just going to go immediately after printing that. So let's start. Starting off with the Rasakas Venom Fang. You can already see some of the glaring lines that are on it, the glue. I have hangers, cut up hangers as supports, and that's what I have, keeping it stable so that I can swing it around. And the next dagger is the Night Killer Dagger. Same thing, hangers as supports, but you can see the glue. You can see some of the more glaring gaps, especially around the guard. I believe that, do daggers have guards? But yeah, so this video is going to show how to take care of that and what we use to get rid of it. But yeah, you can see that's deep. It's almost deep enough to get my fingernail in, and obviously that doesn't look very cool. Same with the other ones along the blade. So I'm going to be showing my tips and techniques to get rid of that. And what we use is first wood filler. That's what I use, Gorilla Glue. It doesn't really matter, any brand really works as far as I know. So we're gonna just take that, we're gonna put it inside of the gaps, and that's what we're gonna do in order to get it to just look like one coherent piece. And then at the end of it, we're just gonna sand it down so then it's all completely smooth. When applying the wood filler, you wanna get in the crevices as much as possible. Truly, there never really is too much, especially since you're just gonna sand it down. So I try to put on a generous amount. Sometimes you might have to come back and do it again if you don't feel it's right. It's all a part of the process. Me personally, I try to just smooth it on there like a piece of Play-Doh. Just really get it in there, like you're trying to plug a hole. Well, you are trying to plug a hole, but you want to go over all of it as much as you can. The more the better. Of course, obviously, the more you do, the more post-processing you have to do later, but it comes out with a better result than if you try to do just too little and then you don't notice it till the end after you finish painting it and you're like, wow, this really isn't smooth at all. So you want to make sure you really get in there and just rub it in, just put a lot on, just smear it in. So that's the main piece of that, and I'll just speed up this next part. Now after you thoroughly made a mess of your working space, hopefully you get something like this along where you glued it at and filled in all the crevices. I think it came out nice, so we're gonna move right onto the rasakas venom fang, and I'm just gonna cut to immediately after it's done. And boop, there, done, finished. Got it all in the spots. This one had way more egregious lines in my opinion, but we filled them all in. Now with the gaps where we glued it together filled in, we want to try to make sure it has a smooth finish. As a general rule of thumb, if you have a smaller print, you want to print in a smaller quality, so then it is smooth because it is very hard to sand smaller pieces. But no matter how small you print, you're eventually gonna have to sand it. So I'm gonna use something to circumvent that, which some people use sandable filler primer. That's what I did with my Samus suit, but that's not what I'm going to use here. So what I'll be using for the daggers today is XTC 3D, which is a self-leveling sandable resin. It's very good for giving a glossy finish. If you just want to leave a print at like that, you can even put it over painting, but its main thing is to make sure a print is nice and smooth, or at least I believe it is. That being said, this stuff is very handy, however very dangerous. You should definitely read the instructions and the SDS sheet, the safety data sheet, in order to make sure you're using it properly. It's also an exothermic chemical. Basically, when you mix it together, it will actually generate heat. Now, there's a couple times I probably put too much into it. It's not necessarily that you mix it wrong, it's just you have too much in too small of an area, like a measuring cup, and that will actually generate heat. If you put too much, it will actually melt the plastic cup. It didn't melt mine, but it was actually too hot to grab. But I am serious. Now, it comes in two parts, part A and part B. You mix it together, and it also comes with a little foam brush because, again, this stuff is resin. It cures hard and it cures fast. You shouldn't use a paintbrush. So I have a whole box of these. That way I could just keep using them. Very handy. They're like $15, so get that. All right, now it's going to be time to put pen to paper. So we're just going to take one last look at the Night Killer dagger and the Rasakas venom fang. As you can see, you can still kind of see the layer lines on the sword and even still just a little bit of the gaps. So the resin helps with that. It's definitely not the end all be all. Sometimes you might have to do multiple coats. I'm just going to not. I don't plan to have this have super crazy good quality because this is supposed to be looked at and viewed from afar. People are not gonna notice it, but you can do whatever you want. If you want to be super highly detailed on certain pieces, do that. I'm definitely guilty of it more than I should be. But onto the actual chemicals. Of course, you want to get your XTC 3D part A and B with the foam brush. Remember, you got to mix it. It's 2 parts A and 2 parts B. Sorry, 2 parts A, 1 part B. You want to make sure you get a measuring cup so then you actually do put the right amount in. This actually comes with 1 measuring cup. I think I bought about 300 for like $5 off of Amazon. Again, the foam brush. You can't use a regular brush because it's just going to get hard and you can never use it again. So yeah, you really want to get a pack of foam brushes. And I cannot stress this enough. Please read the instructions. It's going to help keep you safe. It would be a terrible shame to hear that you were just trying to use this stuff and you mixed too much of it and your house accidentally caught on fire. And yes, that is a possibility if you mix too much of it, as well as take a gander at the safety data sheet for if it gets in your eyes, on your skin, although nothing really happens on your skin. But seriously, read this stuff. Is important. Safety is number one 100% of the time. If you're sanding it, please use a respirator. I did that on my first try by accident, not using a respirator. Not a fun time. Please be safe. Now that I have stressed safety as much as I possibly can, how to use this stuff, you essentially just brush it on just like paint. You just lather it on there. Don't put too much. It gunks up and it gets hard quickly and gets very sticky, and then it's just going to look like more of a mess. You also want to mix the 2 parts with a popsicle stick, and once you got all that, it's easy money. So let's just speed up the next part. Okay, we're gonna jump to when I finished putting it on both of the blades. They are completely covered. They are both extremely shiny and extremely smooth. Admittedly, there are still some crevices, which means I probably should have used way more wood filler than I did, but we live and we learn. They are smooth as could be, but we still might want to sand it just to get out any clumps and any other things that are still left. And look at that, they're both beautiful. Now all we gotta do is just paint it. You can paint right on top of this, whether it be spray paint, whether you hand brush it. I'm gonna hand brush it. So we're gonna go to the finished product just to see how it turned out. And boom, this is the finished product. The finished Rasakas Venom Fang and the finished Night Killer Dagger. I think I did a decent job on it, especially with picking the colors. Me personally, I don't like hand brushing too much, but sometimes it's just necessary to get into the nooks and crannies and some detailing. But I probably should try to spray paint or airbrush it on as much as possible. But then again, you wouldn't get as intricate pieces like the bones of the Rasakas Venom Fang. But if you think I did a good job, like, comment, subscribe. There's gonna be more videos. I even have another prop in the making, which is gonna be Coronas from Soul Eater. His sword? I cannot tell you his gender. Doesn't matter. Their sword. But other than that, I hope to see you guys next time. Peace.